think the inspiration I was given from a very young age was to be involved in a mass global movement. And I wanted to, in my sense, my commitment was to be of support to the voiceless, especially the masses. So I chose public service as the first avenue. And as I got involved in politics and in changing laws and impacting public policy, I became closer and closer to decision-making or the halls of power until I was the guy people would lobby, or I was in a position to make certain changes. And then that's when a realization hit me that what the world really needed, or the real changes that preceded major movements in our lifetimes, whether it's civil rights or, you know, the notions of equality, the gay lesbian movement gaining mainstream adoption, it was always a change of minds and hearts, and change of minds and hearts usually happened in the private quarters of one's own heart, one's own experience, and this is where stories came in. So when I made that realization, I made a decision that I wanted to impact storytelling. So creating Immortal Studios was a natural extension of that, to impact the kind of stories, the kind of narratives, the kind of myths that are shared throughout the world about our experience. And it was a really amazing thing to lean into, because I was raised in this tradition of the martial hero. And I think the martial hero is something that's captured the global imagination. And everybody who's been a comic book geek or who's, you know, traveled, despite whatever you like, everybody has really tackled, you know, gleaned onto an aspect of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and these heroic archetypes that have influenced popular culture and begin to shape how even kids perceive themselves and their place in the world, and possibilities or non-possibilities. So in creating Immortal Studios, we are building, or we're resuscitating these ancient archetypes of the heroes at a time when the hero's journey and the architecture of the hero and the purpose of the hero and how become heroes were really grounded in metaphysical truths. And they were grounded in the human experience. They were grounded in a transformational framework that I think is lacking in a lot of the heroes of today. Not all of them. So in creating Immortal Studios was really to lean back into those archetypes, those transformational archetypes. And also, it's not that we disagree with the arrival of technology, but I feel like technology almost began to supplant useful notions such as cultivation and character development, and harnessing your own inner resources as the basis of power, as the source of power, as opposed to getting a useful piece of technology, or getting be bitten by a radioactive spider, or having you know, billions of dollars to build that useful robot. So I think those things began to obscure the journey of the hero and these really, really useful archetypes. So in creating this company, we wanted to write a type of heroes and heroines that harkens to those kind of useful 1,000-year-old heroic traditions that I think are somewhat missing today. And to do it in a way that is very, very inclusive, in a way that there's balance and there's representation. And for me, speaking as a Chinese American, or as an Asian American, or an Asian, and it's also bringing a level of representation to the world that I feel that people who look like me and with my experiences are not represented. If you looked at global screens today, you would think that Asians didn't exist, that there were no Asians in the world, which is clearly not true, because, and I'm not really doing it in a very, very self-serving way, because I believe this very moment is a crisis moment where we really need to come together as a global humanity to address the things that are way bigger than national boundaries or ethnic boundaries or racial boundaries. And if we couldn't bring people together in this narrative in a very, very quick time, we're in for a very difficult period. So it's really against this entire backdrop that Immortal Studios was born, and it's a very big goal, and we hope to accomplish it in time, or our version of it.